She posted on X bold as brass, "A man who can't handle an independent woman doesn't deserve to be called a man." 6 hours earlier, I'd told her I wasn't okay with her spending the night at her ex's place. No shouting match, no drama, just a calm line in the sand. The next night she came back to my apartment, expecting to waltz right in, only to find her bags neatly stacked outside her own place across town with a note pinned to the top. "Independent enough to handle this alone." Right, Lauren. Oh, she wasn't ready for that plot twist. Hey everyone, Ethan Carter here, coming to you from the rainy streets of Seattle. A massive thank you to all of you who've been rocking with this channel. We're this close to hitting 15,000 subscribers, so if you haven't yet, smash that subscribe button and join the crew. Let's dive into a story that's not just about a breakup, but about what happens when someone's words don't match their actions. It's raw, it's real, and it's got a lesson that'll hit you right in the gut. Picture this Seattle, Washington, where the coffee's strong, the tech scene's buzzing, and the rent's enough to make your wallet cry. I'm 34, a project manager at a tech firm pulling in $95K a year. Life's good, right? I've got a sleek apartment in Capitol Hill, a killer view of the city, and a belief that relationships thrive on one thing: respect. Mutual, no games respect. Enter Lauren Hayes, 29, a freelance graphic designer with a vibe that screams, "I do what I want." We met at a networking event downtown, sparks flew, and for 11 months we were a thing. But here's the kicker: Lauren loved to preach about being an independent woman, until the moment that independence was actually tested. Lauren's the type who'd post empowerment quotes on X, all about living your truth and breaking free from control. Sounds inspiring, sure. But there's a difference between being independent and just doing whatever feels good, no matter who it hurts. She kept her tiny studio in Fremont, a quirky little spot across town, but by month 8 she was crashing at my place most nights. Clothes in my closet, toothbrush by my sink, her art supplies scattered on my dining table. She was practically living with me, but always quick to remind me I don't need anyone. "Ethan, I choose to be here." Fair enough. I admired that fire, at first. This isn't just a breakup story, though. It's about what happens when someone crosses a line, then tries to spin it as your fault. Lauren didn't just push my boundaries. She took a sledgehammer to them, then bragged about it online. And when I gave her exactly what she claimed to want, total independence, she learned the hard way that words have weight. Stick with me, because this ride's about to get wild. It starts with a music festival, an ex who wouldn't stay in the past, and a post on X that lit a fuse I didn't know I had. I'm Ethan Carter, 34 years old, navigating life in the heart of Seattle's tech scene. I manage projects for a software company, pulling in $95K a year, which in this city gets you a decent apartment in Capitol Hill, with floor-to-ceiling windows and just enough space to feel like you've made it. I'm not flashy, but I'm steady. I believe in clear communication, showing up for the people you care about, and keeping your word. Relationships to me are built on that foundation: respect, trust, and a willingness to meet halfway. Growing up in a family where my parents argued but always worked it out, I learned early that love isn't about winning, it's about understanding. Then there's Lauren Hayes, 29, a freelance graphic designer with a wild streak and a portfolio full of bold, colorful work. She's got this energy, part artist, part rebel, that draws you in. Lauren makes about $28K a year, which in Seattle's insane rental market means she's scraping by. Her studio apartment in Fremont, a funky neighborhood full of murals and coffee shops, is more like a closet with a vibe. Tiny, cluttered, with barely enough room for her easel and her dreams. She kept that place like a lifeline, a symbol of her independence, even as she spent more and more time at my place. By month 8 of our 11-month relationship, she was at my apartment 5 or 6 nights a week, her sketchbooks piling up on my coffee table, her shampoo in my shower. But she'd always say, "I'm here because I want to be Ethan, not because I need you." That line was her mantra, and I respected it. until it started feeling like a shield. We met at a networking event in downtown Seattle, one of those trendy rooftop mixers with overpriced cocktails and too many business cards. Lauren was there pitching her design work, her laugh cutting through the noise like a spark. We clicked instantly. Her free spirit balanced my grounded nature. For a while, it worked. We'd spend weekends exploring Pike Place Market, grabbing dumplings in the International District, or just chilling at my place with takeout and a movie. But Lauren had this thing about control. She'd bristle at the slightest hint of it. Ask her where she was going. I don't need to report to you, Ethan. Suggest a plan. I'm not some girl who needs her life scheduled. I'd nod, let it slide, because I figured that's just who she was. A woman carving her own path in a city that doesn't make it easy. Seattle's a place where ambition and art collide, where you're either hustling to keep up or pretending you don't care. Lauren leaned into the latter, posting on X about living unapologetically while juggling client deadlines and a bank account that was always 1 gig away from empty. I admired her hustle, even covered a few dinners when she was short. But as her stuff took over my space and her "I'm my own woman" speeches got louder, I started wondering, was this independence or just a way to avoid accountability? That question lingered quiet at first until it became impossible to ignore. Things with Lauren started feeling off a few months into our relationship, like a song that's just slightly out of tune. At first it was small stuff. She'd make plans without telling me girls' nights, late drinks with clients, and I'd only find out when I texted to check in. "Hey, where you at?" I'd ask casual, no big deal. Her reply would come hours later. "Out with friends. I don't need to report my every move, Ethan." The words stung not because I wanted a play-by-play, but because it felt like she was dodging something as simple as basic courtesy. I'd let it go, tell myself I was overthinking. After all, Seattle's a city where everyone's got their own hustle, their own circle. Maybe I was the one who needed to chill, but the pattern kept growing. One night she came home after midnight, smelling like wine and perfume, her phone buzzing nonstop. "Who's blowing up your phone?" I asked, half joking, expecting a laugh. Instead she snapped, "It's just work." "Okay, God, why are you so possessive?" That word possessive hit like a slap. I wasn't checking her texts or demanding her location. I just wanted to know why she'd been out till dawn without a heads up. In my book, that's not control, it's care. But Lauren had a way of twisting things, making me question if I was asking too much. I backed off, not wanting to be that guy, the one who smothers his girlfriend's vibe. Then there was the coffee shop incident. Lauren mentioned she was grabbing coffee with a colleague one Saturday. Cool, no issue. But when I bumped into her friend Mia at a bar, later Mia let slip that Lauren had been with some guy named Jake, not a work contact. My stomach twisted. I didn't confront her right away, didn't want to come off as paranoid. But when I brought it up later, all calm, saying, "Hey, Mia mentioned you were with someone named Jake." "What's up?" Lauren's eyes flashed. "Are you seriously spying on me now? Jake's just a friend from a design group. You need to trust me, Ethan." Trust. She threw that word around like a weapon, and I started wondering if I was the problem for even asking. Looking back, those moments were red flags blinking in neon. Lauren's version of independence wasn't just about living her life. It was about shutting me out, then calling it freedom. I'd lie awake in my Capitol Hill apartment, the city's hum outside my window replaying our talks. Was I being insecure, or was she hiding something? My gut said the latter, but I didn't want to believe it. I kept thinking we could work it out, that maybe I just needed to give her space. Seattle's full of people chasing their own paths, right? Maybe Lauren's path was just different. But deep down, I knew respect in a relationship means meeting halfway, not leaving your partner in the dark. Those cracks in our foundation were small at first, but they were about to split wide open. The air in my Capitol Hill apartment felt heavier when Ryan Mitchell rolled back into Seattle. Ryan Lauren's ex was a 30-year-old indie musician with a scruffy beard and a knack for playing the tortured artist. They dated for 3 years back in college, a whirlwind of late-night gigs and cheap wine or so, Lauren told me. She swore they were just friends now, nothing more. "We're mature, Ethan," she'd say, her voice dripping with that confidence she wore like armor. "We moved on ages ago." I nodded, trying to be the cool boyfriend. Adults can stay friends with exes, right? But my gut churned. Something about Ryan's sudden reappearance didn't sit right. It started small. Lauren's phone lit up with texts from him, little pings that she'd glance at and smile. She'd mention him casually over dinner. "Oh, Ryan's playing a show in Ballard tonight," or "Ryan's got this crazy story from his tour." Soon they were grabbing coffee, then lunch, then long phone calls about life and music. I'd hear her laughing in the next room, her voice softer than it ever was with me. I didn't want to be that guy, the jealous type who freaks out over a friendship. But this wasn't just friendship. It was a slow, deliberate drift, and I could feel it pulling her away. I brought it up one night, keeping my tone steady. "Lauren, you're spending a lot of time with Ryan. It's starting to make me uncomfortable." Her eyes narrowed and she leaned back in her chair, arms crossed. "Uncomfortable, Ethan. That's your problem. Ryan's my friend. If you can't handle me having a life outside of you, maybe you're not cut out for this." Her words sliced deep, turning my concern into something petty, insecure. I took a breath, tried again. "I'm not saying you can't have friends. I'm saying it feels disrespectful the way you're prioritizing him." She laughed, sharp and cold. "Disrespectful? I don't need your permission to live my life, Ethan. Maybe you should work on your trust issues." That conversation hung over us like a storm cloud. Then came the bombshell. Over takeout one evening, Lauren dropped it like it was no big deal. "Ryan invited me to a music festival in Portland. It's a 3-hour drive, super chill. I'm going with him next weekend." My fork froze midair. "Just you and Ryan?" "For the whole weekend," she nodded, popping a fry in her mouth. "Yeah, he got tickets months ago. His family's got a cabin nearby, so we'll crash there." My heart sank. A romantic festival, a cozy cabin, just the two of them. "Lauren, I'm not okay with this," I said, my voice firm but calm. "It's not about trust, it's about boundaries," she exploded. "Boundaries. This is exactly why relationships fail. You're trying to control me." "Ethan, I'm an independent woman, and I won't let your insecurities dictate my life." Her voice echoed off the walls, her face flushed with defiance. I stared at her, the woman I'd loved for 11 months, and felt something shift. This wasn't about independence. This was about her choosing Ryan's feelings over mine and daring me to accept it. "If you go," I said quietly, "we've got a serious problem." She smirked. "No, you've got a problem. I'm going. Deal with it." That night I couldn't sleep, the Seattle skyline glowing outside my window, mocking me with its calm. Lauren's words still burned in my chest as I sat in my Capitol Hill apartment, the Seattle rain tapping against the windows. "I'm going. Deal with it." Her defiance wasn't just a challenge. It was a line crossed, a slap to the face of everything I thought we'd built. I didn't yell back, didn't beg. I just nodded, letting the silence speak for me. But that night she took it further, way further. 6 hours after our fight, while I was still wrestling with the idea of her spending a weekend with Ryan, Lauren posted on X. The words hit like a punch. "A man who can't handle an independent woman doesn't deserve to be called a man." Dozens of her friends piled on in the comments, tossing out, "Yas, queen," and "dump his controlling ass," as if I was some tyrant chaining her to a dungeon. My phone buzzed with notifications, each one twisting the knife deeper. It wasn't just the post. Lauren went nuclear. She spun a story in a Seattle designers group on X, claiming I was isolating her, painting me as this jealous, toxic boyfriend who couldn't handle her freedom. People I barely knew, colleagues, mutual acquaintances, started side-eyeing me at work. Whispers followed me in the office. Is Ethan really like that? My reputation, something I'd built over years, was suddenly on trial because of her lies. I screenshot everything, the post, the group thread, the comments cheering her on. Each tap on my phone felt like gathering evidence, proof that this wasn't just a misunderstanding. This was betrayal, public and deliberate. The next morning, Lauren packed her bag for the Portland festival, her movements sharp, like she was daring me to stop her. I hope you use this weekend to think about your trust issues, she said, slinging her backpack over her shoulder. Her voice was all fake sweetness, like she was lecturing a child. I love you, Ethan, but I'm not changing who I am. She leaned in, kissed my cheek, and walked out, leaving me standing in my own living room, the weight of her words sinking in. Love. That wasn't love. That was manipulation wrapped in a pretty bow. I sat on my couch staring at those screenshots. Her post wasn't just venting, it was a calculated move to shame me, to rally her crowd while she partied with Ryan. The group thread was worse, a twisted version of me that didn't exist. I wasn't controlling. I'd never asked her to stop seeing friends or chasing her dreams. All I'd asked for was respect, a basic line most people don't even think twice about. But Lauren, she'd taken that line, stomped on it, and then bragged about it to the world. My hands shook as I scrolled through her X feed, her empowerment. Quotes mocking me, live your truth. Don't let anyone dim your light. Her truth was a lie, and her light was burning my life down. Something snapped, not anger, but clarity. If Lauren wanted to play the independent card, I'd let her. Not out of spite, but because I was done being her doormat. I loved her, but love doesn't mean swallowing disrespect. As the rain kept falling outside, I started planning. This wasn't about revenge. It was about giving her exactly what she claimed to want, freedom. And trust me, she wasn't ready for what came next. The Seattle rain didn't let up that Friday night, a steady drumbeat against my Capitol Hill apartment windows, matching the rhythm of my thoughts. Lauren was on her way to Portland, with Ryan probably laughing in his car, thinking she'd won. Her ex-post still glowed on my phone. A man who can't handle an independent woman doesn't deserve to be called a man. Those words and the lies she spread in that designers group weren't just a betrayal, they were a declaration. She thought she could have it all, my support, my home, my love, while publicly tearing me down. But I wasn't going to be the guy who begged or broke. I was done. Saturday morning, I woke up with the clarity I hadn't felt in months. If Lauren wanted independence, I'd give it to her fully, no strings attached. I started in my apartment gathering her things, her sketchbook stacked on my coffee table, her hoodies draped over my couch, her makeup brushes cluttering my bathroom sink. Every item told a story of the 11 months we'd shared, but now they were just remnants of someone who'd chosen disrespect over us. I packed carefully clothes, folded art supplies, boxed her laptop, wrapped in a towel to keep it safe. I took photos of every step, not out of spite, but to prove I'd handled her stuff with care. By noon, 2 duffel bags and a cardboard box held everything she'd left in my life. I drove across town to her Fremont studio, the city's gray skyline blurring past. Her apartment building was a quirky mural-covered spot, the kind of place that screamed, Seattle artsy. I stacked her bags neatly outside her door. She still had her keys, her lease, her so-called lifeline. Then I pulled out a pen and wrote a note. My hand steady, but my heart racing. Lauren, you're right. Independent women don't need men who can't handle their strength. You've made your choices and I respect them. Your things are here. You've got this, don't you, Ethan? I pinned the note to her bag, the words sharp but honest, echoing her own mantra back at her. It wasn't petty, it was truth. Back at my place, I called a locksmith. By evening, my apartment had new locks, a small but final step to protect my space. I opened X, hesitated, then updated my status to single. No explanation, no drama, just a quiet line drawn. Sunday night around 8 p.m., Lauren showed up at my door, her overnight bag slung over her shoulder, her face all smiles like nothing had happened. "Ethan, we need to talk," she said, stepping forward. I blocked the doorway, calm but firm. "We can talk." "Out here," her smile faltered. "What's going on? You're acting weird." I looked her in the eyes. "I did what you asked, Lauren. I thought about our relationship. You're right. Independent women don't need men who can't handle them. So we're done." Her jaw dropped. "Done. Ethan, that X post wasn't even about you. It was just venting." I pulled out my phone, showing her the screenshot. "Posted 6 hours after I said I wasn't okay with you and Ryan. Called me less than a man for having boundaries. What else was it about?" She stammered. "Okay, maybe the timing was bad, but this is crazy." "Crazy," I said, voice low. "Your stuff's at your place. Your key doesn't work here anymore. You wanted freedom. You've got it." Her eyes widened. "You changed the locks, Ethan. Where am I supposed to stay?" I didn't flinch. "Your apartment, the one you kept to prove how independent you are." She started to argue, but I cut her off. "You lost me when you chose Ryan and mocked me for everyone to see. We're finished." I stepped back, shut the door, and locked it. The sound of that click felt like freedom mine. The days after I shut the door on Lauren felt like a Seattle fog, thick, quiet, but charged with something unresolved. My Capitol Hill apartment was mine again, no trace of her sketchbooks or perfume lingering. But Lauren wasn't done. By Monday morning, my phone was buzzing like a hive. Texts, calls, voicemails, her name lit up my screen over and over. "Ethan, this is insane." Her first message spat all fire and venom. "You're throwing away 11 months over one weekend." "You're so childish," I didn't respond. I'd said what I needed to say, and silence was my answer now. Her tone shifted by Tuesday, softer, pleading. "Ethan, please, can we just talk?" I didn't mean for things to go this far. Voicemails piled up, her voice cracking in one, "I'm sorry about the X post." "Okay," I was upset. "Let's fix this." "Fix this." She thought words could undo the betrayal, the public shaming, the lies she'd spun in that designers group. I saved every message, not out of spite, but because they were proof she knew she'd crossed a line, proof she was scrambling, now that her independence had consequences. Her friends jumped in too, flooding my inbox with accusations. "You're so controlling," Ethan, one wrote. "Lauren deserves better than a guy who can't handle her freedom." Another called me toxic, saying I'd abandoned her over a misunderstanding. I screenshot those too, each one a reminder of the crowd that cheered her on while she trashed me. But their words didn't shake me. I wasn't the villain in this story, no matter how loud they shouted. Wednesday, she showed up at my office downtown, catching me off guard during my lunch break. Security buzzed me. "Someone's here for you in the lobby." I stepped out and there was Lauren, her hair messy, eyes red like she hadn't slept. "Ethan, we need to talk for real," she said, her voice trembling. I crossed my arms, keeping my distance. "We're talking now. Say what you need to." She fidgeted, glancing at the security guard nearby. "I messed up with the X post." I was emotional. "Okay, I didn't mean it." I raised an eyebrow. "You didn't mean to call me less than a man. Didn't mean to lie about me isolating you in that group. You meant every word when you posted it. Lauren, you meant it when your friends hyped you up." Her face crumpled, but she pushed back. "People say dumb things when they're mad. I'm sorry, Ethan. Can't we work through this?" I shook my head. "Work through what you went to Portland with Ryan knowing it hurt me. You mocked me for having boundaries. There's nothing left to work through." She stepped closer, voice low. "I need you, Ethan. I didn't realize how much until now." I looked at her, the woman I'd loved, and felt nothing but resolve. You didn't need me when you chose Ryan. You didn't need me when you humiliated me online. You've got your independence, Lauren. Use it. Her eyes welled up, but I turned and walked back to the elevator. The doors closed, and for the first time in days, I exhaled. She could cry, beg, or rage, but I wasn't her safety net anymore. Lauren's tears in the lobby didn't change a thing. Back in my Capitol Hill apartment, the Seattle skyline glittered through the rain, but the calm I'd fought for was still under siege. My phone kept buzzing her friends, relentless hurling insults like insecure and petty through X messages. One even said, "Real men don't ditch their girlfriends over a misunderstanding." I saved those texts, each one a brick in the wall I was building to protect my peace. But the noise wasn't just online. It was closer, heavier. My own circle started weighing in. My older sister Claire called me that week, her voice cautious. "Ethan, are you sure you didn't overreact? Lauren seems really upset." My best friend Nate grabbed beers with me at a Fremont dive bar and said, "Man, maybe you could have talked it out first. Dumping her stuff like that, it's cold." Their doubts stung like I was the one who'd crossed a line. I didn't argue, just showed them the screenshots. Lauren's ex-post the designers group lies the comments cheering her on. Claire's jaw tightened when she read it. She did. "What? Okay, you're right. She's out of line." Nate shook his head, tossing his beer cap on the table. "Damn, Ethan. I'd have done the same." Lauren, meanwhile, was unraveling. Her Fremont studio, that symbol of her independence, became a trap. At $28K a year, she couldn't afford the rent on her own, something she'd never admitted while leaning on my place. She posted on X fishing for roommates, but her spotty credit and low income scared off anyone serious. By the end of the week, she was packing up, breaking her lease, and moving back to her parents' place in Tacoma, 40 minutes south. The same woman who'd bragged about living her truth was now hauling boxes to her childhood bedroom. Her X feed went quiet, no more empowerment quotes, just vague posts about tough times that got fewer likes each day. The designers group she'd lied to, that backfired too. Someone leaked my side those screenshots I'd kept, and the truth spread like wildfire. People stopped commenting on her posts, and her Yas Queen cheerleaders ghosted. Ryan, her festival buddy, wasn't any help either. Turns out he was all in for a nostalgic weekend, but had zero interest in her drama or a real relationship. Lauren's independence, the kind she'd flaunted to hurt me, was now a spotlight on her choices. She'd burned bridges, not just with me, but with the community she'd relied on for gigs. I felt no joy watching her struggle, just a quiet resolve. My family and friends rallied around me, their doubts replaced by respect. Claire texted, "You dodged a bullet, little bro." Nate bought the next round saying, "You stood up for yourself." That's rare. The pressure faded, replaced by a truth I'd always known. Boundaries aren't negotiable. Lauren's consequences weren't my doing. They were hers, piling up like the rain outside my window. Weeks passed, and the Seattle rain gave way to crisp fall air, the kind that makes Capitol Hill feel alive. My apartment was my own again, a sanctuary of quiet after the storm of Lauren's chaos. I was finding my rhythm work gym, late-night tacos with friends when Sarah Bennett walked into my life. Sarah, 32. A financial analyst with a sharp mind and a laugh that could light up a room, was different. We met at a charity run in Pike Place Market, bonding over mutual hatred of 5K sprints, but love for post-race coffee. She had her own place in Queen Anne, a steady career, and a no-nonsense take on life. When I told her about Lauren, her response cut through the noise. Independence isn't about hurting people, Ethan. It's about owning your choices. I knew then she was someone who got it. Respect, boundaries, the works. Lauren, meanwhile, was fading into the background, but not without one last try. She called me from her parents' place in Tacoma, her voice small, almost broken. Ethan, I've been thinking I was wrong about everything. The festival with Ryan, the ex-post, the lies in that group. I should have listened to you. I leaned against my kitchen counter, the city's glow outside my window, and waited. I miss you, she said. Is there any chance we could try again? I didn't hesitate. No, Lauren. You made your choices, Ryan. The post, the lies. You showed me who you are. I'm not going back. She pushed harder. I've changed, Ethan. I get it now. Boundaries matter. I almost laughed. You get it because you're living with your parents at 29, not because you respect me. Grow with someone else. She went quiet, then hung up. That was the last I heard from her. Word got around that Ryan had bailed too. He'd enjoyed their Portland fling, but wasn't signing up for Lauren's drama or her move to Tacoma. Her independent adventure with him fizzled into nothing, just like her ex-clout. Her posts barely got likes, now her designer friends silent after the truth came out. She'd gambled on her narrative and lost. Sarah, though, was a breath of fresh air. Over dinner one night she said, "You didn't just walk away from Lauren. You stood up for what you deserve." That hit deep. With her, I wasn't second-guessing or dodging red flags. I was building something real. Lauren's call had been a final test, and I'd passed not for her, but for me. The truth was clear. Her independence was a mask for selfishness, and I was better off without it. The Seattle skyline sparkled outside my Capitol Hill apartment, a quiet reminder that life moves on even after the worst storms. Lauren's chapter was closed. Her bags, her lies, her ex-posts all left behind in a Tacoma bedroom she never planned to return to. I didn't break her. I just held up a mirror to her so-called independence and let her face the reflection. She'd called me less than a man for having boundaries, but in the end I was the one standing tall with Sarah by my side and a clearer sense of what I deserve. This isn't about revenge. It's about truth. Lauren wanted the perks of a relationship, my home, my support, while trampling my trust and mocking me for daring to care. Her ex post those lies in the designers group weren't just mistakes. They were choices, ones she made thinking I'd swallow the disrespect. But real strength isn't loud posts or bold claims. It's knowing your worth and walking away when someone tries to cheapen it. Here's what I learned, and I hope it sticks with you. First, respect your boundaries and your partner's. Love doesn't thrive when one person's feelings are dismissed as insecurity. Second, true independence means owning your choices, not dodging their fallout. Lauren preached freedom, but crumbled when she had to live it. Third, think twice before airing your drama online. One post can burn bridges you'll need later, especially in a connected city like Seattle, where word travels fast. Sarah said it best over coffee last week. You didn't just leave Lauren. You chose yourself. That's the real win, finding peace in your own truth, not someone else's story. So if you're out there holding on to someone who disrespects you, ask yourself, are they worth your light? For me, the answer was no. And now with the rain falling soft outside and a new chapter unfolding, I know I'm exactly where I'm meant to be. Thanks for riding with me, Seattle. Keep shining, and I'll see you in the next one.